I asked my Instagram followers what they want to know about the AS33 Me. Let's start with rigging the glider. How do you rig the AS33 Me with retractable tail wheel? As you can see here in the background, I have the tail dolly still attached, and you can lock the tail dolly's direction, and then you just put the whole glider with the tail dolly into the trailer. So nothing special, really easy. How do you assemble the outer wings on your own? Today I tried this for the very first time on my own. It works. The outer wings on the AS33 are heavier, they are longer than at the ASG29, but it still works without big problems, so that's still great. Are you completely independent at self-launch? I would say you are completely independent. You can put the wing down on the ground. You don't need a wing runner. But something I would really like to have is a steerable tail wheel. So this glider has only a fixed tail wheel which is retractable, which is perfect for the aerodynamics, especially for competition flying and cross-country flying and so on. So therefore it's great. But here on the ground it's really hard to taxi and especially make some turns on the ground. So that's something which could be better, but you can start on your own. Worst case, you taxi to the start, then go out of the glider, turn it 180 degrees by hand, and then you make a self-launch. Do you have to disassemble the wings for charging? No, you don't need to disassemble the wings while charging. You can charge here directly on this port here and put one cable outside here of the window, and then can charge the glider directly. Or if you have the glider in the trailer, then you need some wiring harness to attach the batteries to the fuselage, and then you can charge it. Okay, now it is time to get in the air. It's already late. Retract. And we're a glider. Let's quickly test the maximum allowed speed. It's 270 kilometers an hour. Flaps completely negative. And we go down 200 kilometers an hour to 20, to 30, to 50, to 60. I want to be cautious, to 70. 270 kilometers an hour. Let's pull it up. And then back up and 100 kilometers an hour. That's what I enjoy so much with gliding. You're not on an autobahn or anywhere or on a street where you are limited. You can just fly as fast as you like and as fast as you think it's efficient. Woo! I had a self-launch to 550 meters or so. And now let's continue. What is my favorite feature about the AS33 Me? My favorite feature are the wings, because I really love the ability to fly with 60 kilogram per square meter wing loading, and then the glider still flies really great. It thermals well, it climbs well, and yeah, I like the profile and the ability to carry so much water ballast and so much weight. The second thing would be the luggage compartment, which is really outstanding for a powered glider. can you only fly it with SPL, or do I need TMG or PPL? So, do you need a glider license, or do you need a touring motor glider license, or even a powered plane license to fly such a self-launch glider? You only need a sailplane license, but you need to have the rating for self-launchers. Otherwise, you're only allowed to start with winch launch or aerotow as in your license. So that's really easy. It only takes 5 starts with an instructor and a double-seater. Usually you can do this in a touring motor glider, and then you need 5 starts on your own in a self-launch glider. How much does it cost? I got a lot of questions about price. You buy a glider, but then of course, like in a car, you also have options which you select. You need the avionics, and all this adds up. Then of course you need a trailer, you need some ground handling equipment, perhaps you also need all-weather covers, and this whole system together costs about the same as a fully spec'd out Porsche GT3 RS. If you click all options, so it is really expensive. The good thing about gliders, or it used to be like this, is that the value increases even with the used gliders. Or you can also compare it with my LS3. It's about, I would say, 9 to 10 times an LS3. This glider. That's ridiculous, but at the end you get so many gliders with one glider, and it's a perfect system. You can do self-launches, you can travel by glider, you can fly competitions, and of course you can do normal cross-country flights, and all this in one glider is really amazing. And I love these 18-meter wingspan gliders, 18-meter competitions as well. Just the perfect balance between the handling and performance. Okay, this thermal is really weak, and today the weather is just really shitty, and I don't know why. It's late, but it's not great. Comparison to AS33 flying characteristics and performance. The characteristics, I would say the AS33 flies better, especially if you carry some more water ballast. If you're heavier, then this glider doesn't feel like a heavy glider. The AS29 there, yeah, it really feels like it's heavy and it's stalling and so on, but here it just feels amazing. And I would say that's the biggest advantage to the AS29. The cockpit, the ergonomics in the cockpit, which I really love, that's about the same here, but I need to focus now on this thermal things here. Otherwise we need to make the range test already. I really don't get the weather today. Don't get it. How many % do you have left in the batteries after self-launch? Today I made a self-launch. I would say it was a normal one, but it was up to 550 meters above ground level, which is okay, which is good for a normal start. I used 23% of the battery capacity today for the self-launch. At my travel by glider trips I used about 25 to 30%. Sometimes you need to climb higher. Is it a forgiving glider? Yes, I would say it is a forgiving glider. You can fly really slow, it won't get into spin and so on. But of course it is a glider which is heavy, which has not so much wing area. Now I need to focus on this thermal, or I immediately need to use the motor. Okay, engine out, completely out. Start button. And here we go. not sure how long I can fly without damaging batteries, but I heard that there's no problem at all. Okay, now we are here in 2610 meters. So this was the test, how high we can climb. Of course, it is still a little bit active in the thermals. I try to avoid to just use one line, and I think in average it should be about fine. And usually you use your motor as well when you want to get back home. Perhaps there are some thermals left. It's not the normal case that it's completely calm and there's no air movement anymore. But I'm quite impressed. I think it was about 2000 meters which I was able to climb. Now I can see there a glider below the cloud base. Amazing scenery now. Having the possibility to just climb up above the cloud base, that's really incredible. What is the range you can get on a full charge? I don't make the tests now because it's really hard to make a fair test with these conditions, how the range is, but we can make a calculation about it. We can calculate how far you can fly. You have the distance which you cover when your motor is on, and then of course you have the height which you can glide down, and then at the end you end up at something more than 100 kilometers. For me, I personally calculate about 100 kilometers which I can get back home after a self-launch to 600-700 meters, and this should be really fine in most cases. One of the very important questions, of course, why did I choose the AS33 ME? In your question I read, why didn't I buy the JS3 RAS? Why didn't I buy the Ventus 3E? First, I wanted to have a self-launcher, an electric self-launcher, and therefore the rear electric system is much better than a front electric system because you can destroy your propeller. There's the LAC 17C FES, which is also a nice glider, but you're only allowed to self-launch with, I think, 470 kilograms or something like this, so with an empty glider. Ventus 3E was not announced when I made the decision, so it was not really in my decision-making process an option. Now let's get to the JS3. What I love about the JS3 and AS33 is that they have only 10 square meters wing area, so you can get up to 60 kilograms per square meter maximum wing loading, which I think is great if the weather conditions are great, and we love to fly at great conditions. And of course, for a World Gliding Championship like the next one in the United States, where we hope to have great weather conditions, I think it's an advantage compared to the Ventus 3, which has more wing area. And then there are the two big options, two differences in the philosophy of the electric propulsion. Do you want to have the batteries in the wing? Do you want to have the batteries in the fuselage? Both have their advantages and disadvantages, of course, and I decided for the AS33 because you have more luggage compartment. For me, it only makes sense to have a self-launcher if I can also travel by glider. Therefore I need some luggage space, therefore I need to take the charger with me, and here with the AS33 ME I have so much more luggage space. Here on the left hand side I have here a lot of luggage space. Up here, my last travel by glider trip was without oxygen bottle. I had a tent in the oxygen mount here, which worked fine. I had a sleeping bag, I had a sleeping pad, and I had clothing with me for 4 flying days. Really worked perfectly. At the end, you need to find a compromise, and the best compromise for you as a person. For me, this is the best compromise. Of course, for competitions, a glider without any sustainer engine would be the best option.
so that you can get the wing loading down if you really need to. I really love this package here. A powerful self-launch motor. Here you can also self-launch with 600 kilograms. At the AS33 RAS you are only allowed to self-launch with 575 kilograms if I'm correct. So for a competition that matters really. They can only fly with 575 kilograms with the AS33 RAS, or you need to make an aerotow. Here I just make a self-launch with 600 kilograms, which is amazing as well. That's also a big factor for me. That's it for today. Thank you so much for all your questions on Instagram. Make sure to follow me. I have so many more cool videos coming up. I made a great 7-day travel by glider trip to Poland, up to southern France and back home. Really fantastic journey. And then I have a big adventure in the United States this summer. I will visit Oshkosh. I will go to the walls, fly my AS33 there. So there are so many cool videos coming up. Woo!